Day 1. My psychiatrist told me that I should start writing in a journal, so that's what I'll do. Day 2. I've been hearing static in my ears all day long. It's starting to annoy me. Day 3. Mother is starting to tick me off with all the nagging. She says I should write stuff about myself. Well, my name is Louis Latham. I have brown hair and blue eyes. I am 6'9" and have schizotypal. My mother and I were from Ontario, Canada, while my father is from New Jersey. My father died in the war in Iraq. Day 4. The static is driving me up the walls. It won't stop! Last night, I saw a creature outside my window under the street lamp. It was tall, had pure white skin, and not a single feature was on his face. He wore a dress suit and only stared. At least, I think he was staring. Anyways, I wasn't able to sleep for the whole night. In the morning, it disappeared. I'm not sure if it was schizotypal or what, but it was creepy. On the 5th day, Louis's mother was out shopping for dinner. The 17-year-old boy shuffled to his bathroom. Louis bent down and opened the cupboard doors, took out a pair of scissors, a needle, and a spool of thread. The brunette boy stood up and placed the items on the counter. Grabbing the scissors, he held them to his lips and started to cut down. Salty tears immediately started to swell in the corners of his eyes and spew out. Once he was done, he did the same to the other side. Loud whimpers were made as he cut. The blade hit a nerve and he yelped, causing him to make the clean cut jagged. The blood mixed with tears and they sunk into the wounds, making them burn. Louis set the scissors down and picked up the needle and thread. He tied the thread on the needle and placed it on his cheekbone. He started to push the needle in and pulling it out. After finishing one line, he cut both ends of the thread and tied them into tiny knots. He then made another line and cut and tied both ends of the thread. Louis did the same to the other side. He set the thread and needle down. The blue-eyed boy looked at his reflection in the mirror. He had cut a frown into his face and 2 X's on his cheeks. Once Louis's mother returned, Louis welcomed her, causing her to scream. Day 6. Mother wouldn't stop staring at my beautiful face during dinner. Then she did the unexpected. She pushed me to the ground and started kicking me, yelling, "Where did I go wrong with you, Louis? And you ruined the beautiful face your father and I gave you. I hate Mother." During the 7th day's night, Louis crept into the kitchen, grabbing a meat beater and tiptoeing into his mother's room. "Mother," he called, holding the beaters behind his back. "What do you want, you little crap?" she hissed back. Louis quietly walked over to her bedside. He raised and quickly pounded the meat beater onto her head, causing it to crack open. Louis's mother's head went limp, and Louis turned to her stomach. He grinded the sharp spikes against his mother's stomach and put his meat beater in his pocket. He swiftly pushed his hand inside her chest, broke the ribs, and pulled out her heart. Louis looked at it sternly and took a small nibble. Almost immediately, his eyes lit up, and he stuffed the heart into his mouth. Louis quickly ran to the back door, pulled on his jacket, and ran out the back into the nearest forest. A few minutes later, he sat on a tree stump, trying to catch his breath. A pale, bony hand rested itself on his shoulder, making Louis stiffen. One day, a girl from Michigan, Kayla, invited her friend Haley over. Haley was playing Xbox. Kayla was in the kitchen. She had a sack of marshmallows. Haley took them and started playing Chubby Bunny with them after Kayla returned to the kitchen. Kayla was mad that Haley had eaten her marshmallows. Never again! Later that night, Kayla was still mad. She glared at her friend's sleeping form. Kayla, not long after her friend had fallen asleep on Facebook, role-playing to some old TV show characters, had gone to the kitchen and grabbed a thick butcher knife. Kayla had put the cold metal object to her friend's neck. Sitting next to her friend who was on the couch, Kayla being on the floor, she saw her friend's eyelashes flutter. She heard her friend's screams as her conscious mind realized what happened. Can't have that! The elder girl chuckled slowly, pulling the rag she had placed on the side table over the younger's mouth, still chuckling. You sure liked those marshmallows earlier. Her friend grabbed the bag of marshmallows. Care for a game of... The girl giggles, grabbing a handful of marshmallows. Chubby bunny? The younger girl shook her head to the best of her ability. Even though the answer had no real meaning to the elder, she shoved marshmallows into the girl's mouth, counting 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 6. Oh, Haley! Haley looked up with panicking eyes, filled with fear. You can fit more into your mouth. You could earlier. As soon as Kayla could see the light leaving the younger's eyes, she tipped her head so the marshmallows fell out. She had tied her hands together and pulled her out of the house after putting the makeshift gag back into her mouth. Kayla dragged her stumbling form through the forest and laid her by the river. Never again, Kayla smirks. You will never eat my marshmallows ever again. Kayla then cut the gag off her friend. Haley started to scream because she now had a large cut down the side of her face. Kayla shoved Haley into the river, and Haley died.